The story begins with a young woman expressing her dismay because her current situation is far from the hopeful life in another world she imagined from games and manga where she was supposed to have overpowered stats and skills. Instead, she finds herself in a perilous predicament as a goblin archer takes aim at her. Suddenly a young man shouts a warning to her, and he himself wonders why this new reality feels like it's set on nightmare mode. The episode, titled, "Are My Stats Too Damn Low?" then shows the young man, Hikaru Kajikawa, looking confused in a strange new environment, surrounded by other people who also seem bewildered. Later, Hikaru experiences a painful landing in a forest, crying out as he falls hard on his rear. He then discovers with a shock that he has inadvertently killed a large wolf-like creature, exclaiming that it's dead. Hikaru, still shaken, introduces himself as a 25-year-old average office worker who was napping in his car after overtime. When he woke up, he found himself in this forest for some unknown reason. He explains that he was attacked out of nowhere by the monster and ended up killing it in the ensuing scuffle, all while praying for its soul and wondering what kind of creature it was and if this was all just a dream. As he contemplates this, a game-like status screen materializes, identifying the creature as Monster, Kobold LV1, Status, Dead, HP, Vitality 0/25. Hikaru is surprised by this pop-up, noting it looks like a game status screen and realizing the pain from his fall is too real for it to be a dream. The profound realization hits him that he has been transported to another world, an Isekai'd. Deciding there's no time to freeze up, Hikaru reasons that if he can figure out what's going on with this game-like status window, he might even be able to check his own stats. A status screen for him then appears. Hikaru Kajikawa LV1 H, 25, Race, Human, Job, Air, Unable to determine, Status, Normal. His stats are shockingly low, HP 0 to 0, MP 0 to 0, SP 0 to 0, Strength 0, Attack 0, +2. Under Skills, it simply says, None. Hikaru is aghast, wondering if his stats are way too low and exclaiming, No, hold on. He questions why his status is listed as normal when his HP is 0, comically wondering if he's a zombie, and laments that he doesn't have a single skill. Hearing a distant howl, Hikaru decides he needs to move before more monsters show up. As he wanders through the unfamiliar forest, he notes the complete absence of any people or buildings and becomes acutely aware of his growing thirst and hunger. His search for sustenance leads him to a tree laden with fruit. A system prompt identifies it as Ifi fruit, a rare fruit found in monster territory, rich in nutrients, sweet-sour in taste, and capable of slightly restoring MP when fresh, classifying it as high-grade and edible. Hikaru picks one that looks fresh. He takes a bite and finds it incredibly delicious, the juice hitting the spot like nothing else. However, his relief is short-lived as he suddenly feels nauseous and his whole body starts heating up. A new status update appears. Status, Mana Oversaturation, Minor, with his stats showing HP 0 to 0, MP 5 to 0, and SP 0 to 0. The system explains that Mana Oversaturation is a status condition triggered when MP exceeds its limit and can be cured by lowering current MP through usage. If left untreated, excess mana runs rampant, causing physical and mental damage. Hikaru is alarmed by this new status, wondering how on earth he's supposed to use mana and realizing the heat he's feeling must be the mana. A further system explanation clarifies that in the case of minor mana oversaturation, the subject will vomit to expel the excess mana. Thinking that if it comes out through vomiting he might be able to force it out, Hikaru decides to try and focus all the heat in his body toward his mouth, letting out a loud HA. The attempt is successful, his MP returns to 0 to 0, and the heat and nausea vanish. He remarks that the fruit really screwed him up, but even though it was seriously good and he still feels full from just spitting out the mana, he decides to gather a few more since it's precious food. As he reaches for another fruit, a G-goblin? LV1 appears. Its status screen shows it's hungry, with HP 2121, MP 3/3, SP 15/44, and significantly higher stats like Strength 41, Attack 41, +6, and Defense 51. It also possesses skills like Monster LV1 and Club Mastery LV1 and is equipped with a wooden club. Hikaru notes with concern that its stats are obviously better than his. Initially, Hikaru thinks that due to the goblin's small size, unlike the kobold, he might be able to pin it down. But then, another goblin appears, and he realizes there's no way he can handle two of them. His situation worsens as more goblins emerge, completely surrounding him. He understands they were surrounding him from the start and feels damned. He clenches his fist, deciding on the only thing he can do. Hikaru begins to shout for help at the top of his lungs, desperately hoping someone will hear him. Just as a goblin is about to strike, a voice calls out, "Dodge to the left." He instinctively reacts to the voice, and a goblin attacks the spot where he just stood. Surprised, he wonders about the voice. A young woman with dark hair, wielding a sword, appears before him, having just saved him from the goblins. She asks Hikaru if he's okay, and he confirms he is. She then tells him to stay back because it's dangerous and swiftly engages the surrounding goblins, skillfully cutting them down. She single-handedly takes down all the goblins. Hikaru watches, incredible at her prowess. He approaches her to ask if she's alright, but she seems to be clutching her head in pain. Just then, Hikaru spots another goblin, an archer, taking aim at the girl. He yells, "Look out!" The girl curses, still in pain. Determined not to let her get hurt after she saved him, Hikaru grabs a wooden club dropped by one of the defeated goblins. He charges at the goblin archer with a yell and strikes it down, then wonders if he managed to kill it. Looking at the fallen goblin, Hikaru reflects that even with 0 stats, he actually fought. He realizes it wasn't an accident. He made the conscious choice to kill the goblin. The girl stumbles, admitting she just used too much mana and is suffering from mana depletion. Remembering the properties of the Ifi fruit, Hikaru offers one to her, explaining that it restores a little mana. She recognizes it as an Ifi fruit and, surprised by its rarity, asks if he's sure. Hikaru confirms, and she thanks him before eating it. Hikaru then tells her he was trying to help her, but she ended up saving him, and he'd be toast if she hadn't shown up. She remarks that one doesn't take down a beast on luck alone, but Hikaru insists his takedown of the goblin archer was pure luck. The girl introduces herself as Almartina, but says he can call her Alma for short, and it's nice to meet him. A status display for her appears. Almartina, LV9, age, 16, race, human, class, paladin apprentice, status, minor mana depletion. Hikaru then introduces himself as Hikaru Kajikawa. Alma finds the name, Kajikawa Hikaru, weird. Hikaru clarifies that Kajikawa is his last name and Hikaru is his first. Alma is surprised by the concept of a last name, asking if he's nobility, as last names are apparently uncommon. Hikaru explains that where he's from, having a last name is totally normal and he's just a regular guy. Alma finds this wild, and says she's never heard of last names being normal, then asks where he is from. Hikaru tells her he's from a place called Japan, and she admits she's never heard of it, to which Hikaru replies he didn't think she would. Alma then asks if he's not going back home. Hikaru explains that he just woke up in this forest out of nowhere, has no clue how to get back, and doesn't really have anywhere else to go. Hearing his predicament, Alma then asks Hikaru if he wants to come with her, which surprises him. Hikaru clarifies that Alma didn't exactly offer an adventure, but rather to take him to the town where she's based. They arrive at a signpost. Alma points towards a road going in the opposite direction of a sign that reads, "Danger Zone, Grua's Beast Forest, do not enter without authorization," telling him to follow it, and they'll reach the town in no time. Hikaru acknowledges. The sign's text is initially in an unreadable script for Hikaru. Suddenly, the text on the sign becomes comprehensible to Hikaru. A system message pops up. Menu functions include language translation. Hikaru Kajikawa can now understand the language of this world. Hikaru is shocked, exclaiming, "Wa dash?" at the auto-translation. Alma asks what's wrong, but Hikaru dismisses it as nothing, internally noting that the system apparently has features like auto-translation too. After some walking, Alma points ahead and says, "There it is." They stand on a rise overlooking a large, walled town, which Alma identifies as Dajel, the town she lives in.